This is our 11th CPE session of 2025. This session is going to be conducted by Chidambaram, our board member and additional director certified in CISA. Feel free to use the chat box for your quick interactions. We will also have dedicated QA when time permits. Having technical difficulties, don't worry, simply try reconnecting. Let's commence the session with a warm welcome from our chapter secretary, Mr. Biju. Over to you, Biju.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Manigandan. Good evening to all of you. A warm welcome to all of you to this 11th CPE program of the chapter during this year. Today, I'm very happy that, one of our board members is conducting this CPE session. And I think that is encouraging all our members and the board members to conduct such sessions for the chapter members, benefit of the chapter members. I believe this sharing knowledge is a divine act. Actually, that is helping others to learn, grow in knowledge, empower themselves, and contributing more to the society. Thank you, Chidambaram, for taking this opportunity to conduct a session for the chapter on the topic, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It's very interesting topic. We are very eager to hear from you. And on behalf of the chapter and all the members, I welcome you to this program. And dear members, all the special guests, invitees, on behalf of the chapter, I am welcoming you all to this 11th CPE program and for a wonderful learning session. Thank you. Over to you, Manikandan.
Thank you, Mr. Biju. Now, I would like to take privilege to introduce our speaker tonight. Chidambaram Narayanan is a seasoned internal auditor and leader with over 20 years of global experience in risk management, governance, IT audits, and process optimization across industries such as IT, electronics, logistics, and consumer goods. A chartered accountant, a certified information systems auditor, and a cybersecurity certified professional, has played a key role in enhancing organizational controls and strategic decision-making in multinational environments. As the additional director for CISA certifications at Isaka Muscat chapter, he is deeply involved in mentoring and supporting professionals, sharing expertise through LinkedIn on auditing, IT, and security. His contributions to the profession were recognized with the Richard Chambers Internal Audit Beacon of the year 2024. Passionate about thought leadership and empowering the audit community, he continues to drive excellence in the field. Let's welcome Chidambaram once again to deliver his presentation. Over to you, Chidambaram. You can start.
So much. I just want to confirm if my screen is up and running. Okay. So good evening, everyone. I hope there is nobody else who has joined from any other part of the world. So I would, except of course Ajit, who is still probably in the afternoon. So good afternoon, good evening.
Chidambaram, just I think you need to be nearby, like mic. Your voice is not clear.
Is it all right now?
Yeah, you be close always.
Okay, sure. Okay, so good evening, good afternoon, good morning. It depends on where you are from. So I'll start my presentation today. It's all about cloud computing. So there are many types of clouds: Cumulus, Stratus, Cirrus, Cumulonimbus. They float, they form, they rain, they thunder. Wow. Is it that really the subject of the day? I really don't think so, right? This is not a meteorology webinar. This is actually supposed to be a cloud computing webinar, right? Okay. So I'll come to the correct webinar then. Today's webinar. Cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer resources via multi-tenant distributed architecture offering elasticity and pay-as-you-go cost models. I can keep going and going and going. Does anybody understand anything what the cloud is right now, the way I spoke? You don't, right? So that is why we've called this entire webinar is going to be certified as free from jargon monoxide. Jargon monoxide is that thing where it gives you glossy eyes. It makes you go and check WhatsApp and Google. Repeatedly, you'll keep nodding in the webinar and in the seminars, and with zero understanding. And internally, you'll be screaming, "What the hell is going on here?" So don't worry about that. If you are ever going to think about that, it's not going to be there in this particular webinar, that I assure you. So this is a jargon-free zone. Carbon monoxide is banned in this webinar. Now, before we begin, how many of you have used all this, any of this, or all of this? You can put a comment in the chat window. How many of this? There are 15 odd apps are there in the screen. Let's say you give a number 10, 12, 1, 2, approx 12. That's wow. 10, 15, most of them 11, 12, 2, 4. Wow. See, we've got a lot of numbers there. So these are all cloud apps. It's not like something which is coming up and then you're thinking about going into a cloud. See, everybody has heard of the cloud. Everybody has seen the cloud in some form or the other. Either it's in Facebook or YouTube, Google Docs, LinkedIn, and whatever. Even right now, we are using cloud for that matter, right? All our data is on the cloud. Zoom is hosted on the cloud. We're all talking across geographies, but on the cloud. So we are not anymore talking about cloud. We are actually living in the cloud. So it's not new. It's just invisible, right? Now, what is your take on the cloud? Anybody wants to say anything on what is your take on what the cloud means according to you? You can put it quickly on the chat window. What it means to you. What does cloud mean according to you? Well, I mean, what cloud could be as a technology? Is it one technology? Is it one bouquet of technologies? What do you think about it? Yeah, that's one way of saying it. You are using another person's house to store your materials. No life without cloud. Wow. Outsourcing infrastructure. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'll show you a meme which is there, which The Rock is asking in one of the memes. He's asking, what is your opinion of the cloud? So the lady answers, there is no cloud, it's just someone else's computer. Do you agree to this? Is it really somebody else's computer? I mean, is it possible that somebody else just lending their system out to you to use? Is that the way the cloud works? Anybody? Do you agree with this or do you disagree with this? Yeah, Varun kind of nailed it. More like somebody else's server. Obviously, computer server is all almost the same, considering the technology involved. But this is another meme. So the girl asks, "Mom, what are clouds made of?" Data, mostly Linux servers. So that's probably what Varun also was hinting at. So more or less, we are talking about technologies which are hosted on somebody else's computer or server, and they're lending it to us. So that's what the cloud is generally all about. But is it all that it's the cloud is? Now, before we delve deep into the cloud, okay, I'm going to ask another question. Sorry, I'm throwing a lot of questions. This is not about a class. I'm not going to teach you something new which you already don't know. This is more like reinforcing the concepts which you might be aware of or which you would like to share. So it's more like knowledge sharing out here. Now, before we delve deep into this, why do you think it's called the cloud? I mean, it could have been called anything else, right? Why do you think it's called cloud? Why is it called a cloud? Any guesses? Anyone wants to just say anything? They can come on the screen and say. Yeah, available everywhere is okay. It's a good this one. That's the idea of naming this entire webinar as everything anywhere all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. So that is how it operates. But that's not why it's called the cloud. Anybody else? Veterans, Ajit Kumar sir, Viju ji. Anybody else wants to try? Or how did it get its name? I mean, I know we call it the cloud, but why do we call it the cloud in the first place? Why can't we call it something else?
Cloud can go anywhere in the world. That's why this data is available anywhere in the world, and that is why it is called as its cloud mechanism.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'll give you the answer. It's not quite exactly the answer. The idea is that in the good olden days in the 90s, when internet just came into the picture and people were talking about the internet as if it's a latest technology and it's going to take over the world and all that. People were really not sure, but then they still, there were always apprehensions that this will take over the world. During that point in time, all these network mapping diagrams or architecture diagrams to represent the internet, in the flowcharts, they used to put this symbol of a cloud because it was very easy to draw. So the internet basically meant, or it was represented by the visual of a cloud. And slowly it got transformed into, because you're able to access things from everywhere, as or most of you rightly got it. People can access things, people can talk to other people regardless of whether they are in the world, and all that stuff. And the way it was built, that you're accessing a remote server from a different location, shared by another country or another person altogether or another entity altogether. So it kind of became ubiquitous with the word cloud. So the word cloud computing was invented sometime in the 90s. And it became known as the cloud only because of that particular reason. So I know a lot of people are planning their vacations, at least in the Middle East part of the world and probably some other parts of the world as well. So I thought I'll take you to some place called Hotel Claudia. So this is a luxurious, place. It's a fictional place, of course, but then I'm going to take you to that place the entire rest of the evening. So bear with me. So we're going to go there. So yeah, see, for people, I am a big fan of the Eagles. So the Hotel California is one of my most favorite songs. So I would all welcome you to the Hotel Claudia. It's a lovely place and so on. I would love to sing that song as well. But right now, we'll focus on what's ahead of us. So the cloud in large is only about 3 major technologies. So people who are coming to this Claudia Hotel are going to get 3 types of technologies. So 3 types of technologies are storage, computing, and networking. So the rooms which you are going to offer in that particular hotel, in our hotel, or the brains are the compute, right? The storage, where you're going to give all that stuff to you to bring your data, to bring your information, to help you stay, and all the images, your documents, your photographs, and all that stuff is where you will be given the storage part. The compute part, as I told you, are the rooms itself. The network part are the hallways, the elevators, the service desks. All our services are forming part of the network where, we are going to give you so many things, luxurious stuff, which are going to come up. So the minute you step into our hotel, the first thing you will notice is you will come to this reception. But when you get into the reception, the lady or gent at the reception first asks you, show me your ID card, right? So it asks you to authenticate yourself and go, to fetch or identify you to ensure that you are getting the right room in the right place in the right hotel. I mean, rather is your hotel the same or you have reservation and all that stuff, right? So they check up on you. So identity is the new security perimeter in today's world, in the day of the cloud, in the age of the cloud. The good olden days, you had many other perimeters. It's like a moat. You used to always call it as a moat representation, where you used to have drawbridge. You used to walk in, then you used to have a security guard who let you. There will be a waterway across. You'll have to cross that. You'll have to come across. There will be crocodiles in the water. It just lets you fall if you will be eaten by the crocodiles. If you are not taken care of by the security guards, then you'll walk in. And then there will be multi-layer of security. But then in the cloud, it's always about identity first. So identity is the latest kind of a security parameter or perimeter now. So like when you're checking into a hotel, the first thing you will do is get a cloud identity. So that is how your journey starts. Okay. So again, there will be a lot of security concerns which will be taken care in terms of identity management. You will have it RBAC, which is role-based access controls. You will have multi-factor authentication, which means you will have layers of something you are, something you know, and something you are aware of, or you have to be, or something you can be. Probably gate technology, your retinal scan, your bifocal, all those things. So all those things are taken care when you come into identity. Next, what do you bring when you come into the hotel? You bring your luggage. That luggage is the data, and your identity and all the stuff which you want to put into the cloud, either as a layman user, or it could be as a professional user, as a corporate user, or as a service provider catering to other clients, whichever way it works. So the data which you bring becomes your luggage, and you are responsible for it. Ultimately, the cloud technology works on a shared responsibility model. So the shared responsibility model says your identity and your data is entirely your responsibility, and there could be multi-level responsibilities which will be given. So what I've done is to make sure that our learning is kind of concrete. I have broken it down into micro learning, so like episodes. So probably till now you can say it is episode number 1. So we are going to move into episode number 2. What is episode number 2 talk about? Multi-tenancy. So multi-tenancy means in typical hotel, in our hotel, if you are joining it, you have already registered, you have a reservation, you will be shown to your room, right? The bellboy will come and show you to your room. So that particular hotel, your room is one of many other rooms. It's not like you are dedicated the entire hotel to yourself, right? You didn't book the hotel really. It is not only yours, you are sharing it with multiple other tenants. So we call it as a multi-tenancy model. So this is typically in the case of either a community kind of a cloud model or a public cloud model. In the case of a private cloud model, it is dedicated entirely to you. In fact, you will not be going there, they will be coming to you. But anyway, I'll explain that in the future. Now, if one room, it's your room. Suppose you are in room number 401. In room number 401, you have your own lighting, you have your own AC, you have everything for yourself. You have your own TV and all your services to yourself, right? That is what is called as dedicated, or you're isolated, and at the same time you are part of a bigger group. It's not like you are alone. So anything goes wrong, you still have to come out of the room and then do other things, fire drill or whatever. So that is how it works. So the cloud typically works on this multi-tenancy model. So the next is scalability and elasticity. Suppose, let's say you are going down to the hotel buffet for dinner. It's almost dinner time. You're going down to the dinner. So if 5 guests are there, they prepare custom-made meals only for 5 people. If, let's say, 5,000 people are coming out into the restaurant on that particular day, or there's a conference which has been booked. Let's say this webinar is being hosted there. How do they do it? In a normal data center technology, you can't just scale up immediately, right? Scaling up means finding more data servers, finding more availability of services on an immediate basis or on a very short notice basis. That's not possible, right? But let's say in this magical hotel Claudia, it's possible right now for the hypothetical scenario. So that is called elasticity. Elasticity is where you align yourself. Like there is this gentleman, Fantastic Four. He's a very famous Marvel comic series where Mr. Fantastic can make himself small or make himself, extend himself to the largest extent possible. He can touch the sky as well. So that is the way cloud technologies work. It's all elastic. So in our particular hotel Claudia as well, so we will have that scenario where regardless of whether it is 5 or 5,000, it is always possible to cater to the requirements. Next, we come to scalability. Now, scalability is, let's say, the hotel is so popular now, is one of the best hotels in the world. And people are walking in and they want to add more banquet halls. They want to add more kitchens. They want to hire more staff. They want to get more rooms. They're probably getting an annex building as well. That is scalability. So typically the clear example between elasticity and scalability is that scalability is the ability or, to enable more power or resources when required, which is an up or down kind of a scenario, right? And elasticity typically is like a rubber band. Like I said, Mr. Fantastic is a rubber band. He can make himself small, and then he can extend himself to cover the entire gamut of how much ever he wants to cover. So that is how it works. Any doubts until now? Any questions that you have? Anything that you think is too easy, too tough? Anything that you think is jargon based? Just let me know in the comments, right? Okay, so I'll move on. Next is the pay-as-you-go model. So typically, you come to our hotel, and suppose you want to take a luxurious room. You can either take a luxurious room with splurging yourself, spending all the money, the hard-earned money that you have done, and you want to have a great vacation. Come there, the full works, you full blown. You have a spa, you have this, and you have every other services possible, and you take that room. Or you could just take a family room, or you could just take a room for just one person, right? So it is, again, it depends on what you want. That's up to you, and you only pay for what you choose. You want to splurge? Yes, yes. You can take the whole thing. We have everything, the whole shebang we have. So it's a pay-as-you-go model. That's why we call us PAYG in short. But typically that's what we do at hotels, right? And the same thing works for even the restaurant. You use services. To the extent that you use services, you order food. To the extent you order food, that's what you pay for. So, and like any other good hotel, our hotel is private, it's secure, it's soundproof. You name it, you got it. All the luxuries that you want, you have it in our hotel. Now, what about services? So we'll move to episode number 3 now, which talks about cloud services. So typically, in corporate speak or cloud speak, we call it as PISA as a service, or anything as a service, AAS. Everything and anything is considered as a service, because cloud is not just one technology per se. Cloud is a multitude of technologies, multitude of services, multitude of aspects that you want. You can pick and choose what you want. For example, you just need a hardware. You just need virtualization. You only need an operating system which you don't want to install, you don't want to invest, which you don't want to look at as a, for scaling. You just want to use it for, let's say, a particular product launch. You just want to use it for a particular day or two, or you want to use it only for a month. You can name it, you can scale up and scale down, as I told you, as you please. So typically in an on-premises kind of a scenario, if you want to make pizza, you have to get your own gas. You have to get your own oven, fire, the pizza base, the soda, because you want to have something to accompany. You have to bring your own friends, of course. You can't give your friends for that. Then obviously you have to do all the eating yourself as well. So typically this is what happens in a traditional on-premises kind of a scenario. But when it comes to something called infrastructure as a service, which is what we call as IaaS, and everything and anything is AAS, with only the first part will change. So infrastructure as a services is where we will be giving you the gas and the oven. It's typically in technology speak, it may be the hardware and the virtualization. Now, what is virtualization? Anything that is created from a hardware and broken down into isolated kind of a scenario. For example, you have a huge server, but I don't want the entire server. Why should I waste my money on a new server, or to scale up only for a particular day or particular series of events? I don't want, right? So what I will do, I will ask you to spin off, or I will create. See, beauty of the whole thing is it's a self-help kind of a thing. So you get access to the VMs and you can create your own virtual machines. And it's a matter of few seconds. You just can create the way you want, the flavor that you want, the content that you want, the configuration that you needed. You name it, you got it. And you are able to manage that yourself. I mean, of course, you need to have that acumen and understanding how the whole thing works, but that's the way it works. So typically in a cloud environment, this is IaaS. Then we scale up to what is called platform as a service. So if you see here, the shared responsibility, if you see the dark shaded portion on the left-hand panel is managed by the users. In on-premises, everything is managed by you. In an infrastructure as a service, except the last two basic things, which is the infrastructure itself, the rest of it is all your responsibility. In platform as a service, we are going one step further. So I'm going to give you the oven, I'm going to give you the fire, I'm going to give you the pizza as base as well. All you have to do is bring in the soda, bring in the friends and the eating, which in our speak nomenclature, it is all about scaling, it is all about functions, it is all about configuration and your data management and all that stuff. And finally, software as a service. Typically, software as a service, the best example will be Salesforce, your Gmail, your Zoom right now, which we're using, YouTube, where you just have to create an ID and manage your data, and all that stuff is all yours. The rest of it is all managed by the cloud provider itself or the service provider itself. So there are two kinds of people here. One is the cloud provider. Okay. One is a service provider who is probably is the user of the cloud, but is giving you a service. For example, typically a cloud provider may be one of Azure, which is run by Microsoft, Google, Alibaba, AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, and we have many other players, but these are the four most common or major players. And the service provider or the app maker or the developer could be somebody who is using the services of the cloud and developing his own software or tools and his app and sharing it with you. Typically like WhatsApp. WhatsApp is hosted on the cloud, but WhatsApp is not the cloud provider, right? He's the service provider. So he's using the Facebook servers and all that stuff, and he is giving you a service. So typically that's how it works. Instagram, YouTube, any other thing for that matter. Right? So we'll quickly move on. So let's say you are staying at Hotel Claudia. You are not staying at Hotel Claudia right now. You are staying in your own house, the comfort of your home right now. You're watching this webinar, or probably wherever you are in the workplace. Doesn't matter where you are. So you bring everything for yourself. You make your own room. You add on, or you put things together. You buy stuff. You assemble it. You the way you like. It comes with, you may bring with furniture, internet, you have to bring your own internet, and you do everything yourself. So whatever services that you need is all yours. But typically in an IaaS, let's say you are coming to our hotel. Our prestigious hotel will share you the room and also will give you the basic for infrastructure. But if you want more, like you want to go get a spa subscription, then you have to go for what we call as a PaaS. So if you rent just the room, and suppose we are giving you only the bed and the mattress and the basic amenities, to get the next level of services, you will have to get into the next, you have to ask. And then you have to, accordingly, the cost also will go up. So there is this concept of CapEx and OpEx for those who are interested, because the whole idea of moving to the cloud is not only the scalability, the elasticity, and the flexibility that you get. It's more to do with the cost saving, because you will have to invest everything yourself, right? If you're going for an on-prem, the whole investment is up to you. You will have to spend, you have to get new servers, you have to keep upgrading the servers, you have to get people to manage the show, you have to keep the servers in a good place. It has to be having networking, cooling, power. You have to manage all the amenities, utilities, everything else. But in the case of the cloud, the responsibility of all that is getting passed on to the cloud provider. As I told you, the cloud provider is either Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Alibaba, and so on. So they take care of all of that. So the infrastructure and the platform is given by them, and they manage all that. So the shared responsibility, the onus of the managing is going back to the cloud provider. And finally, SaaS is when you are like outsourcing everything to the cloud provider. In our scenario, when you come to our hotel, it is a completely luxurious hotel and we are giving you everything. Whatever we have to offer, you just have to put your money across and just say, I want it, and we'll give you furniture, internet, breakfast, probably spa, and tour guides wherever you want to go, a free limo service, the works. I mean, you have the world at your feet. So that is SaaS. So these are three types of kind of services, but we are not restricting ourselves to only these three. Nowadays, database as a service has become something huge because people don't want to invest in database. So there is a something called CockroachDB, there is a Oracle database, there is a SQL database, and many cloud providers themselves are providing these services, MongoDB and many other new database models or types of database also they've come. So you are again moving to another angle altogether. Then there's another angle of storage as a service. You can rent the storage. You don't have to buy hard disk and keep. You can take block storage. You can do take different types of storages, right? And everything now it is become microservices. As in, I just want one aspect of a life or a service. It can be given. It can be just broken down because of the beauty of virtualization. And because of virtualization, we can just break everything down into an isolated tiny part, microservice, and give it to you for a short period of time, the way you want it, for a short, probably a very reduced rate as well in terms of the cost. Again, a word of caution, cloud doesn't mean everything is free or cheap or, if you don't know how to use it, cloud bills will kill you. There are companies which have taken all these services, but they don't know how many they have done. They didn't know how many they've been used. So the bill, when the bill hits them, it will be in millions. So there you have to, watch. And that is where all the other tools, because cloud providers will always give you all the tools to watch out all these things for, and typically, in a cloud scenario, there are multiple types of cloud models, but these are the major three types of cloud models which we'll be using. Suppose you come to Hotel Claudia, which is the normal one, which is open to all the public. Anybody can walk in, take a reservation, or go to the restaurant and have food and avail other services and so on. So this is a public cloud where everything is shared, everything is flexible and cost effective. We have something called the private cloud. Private cloud means it is not hosted anywhere. It is hosted rather on your on-premises, or they will manage your data center or your services which you are currently managing. So it is more like a co-managed or an outsourced kind of a model. So this will be dedicated, this will be controlled, and obviously this will be on the higher side in terms of costs. And finally, governments, because of various regulations like privacy regulations, because of cloud hosting cannot be because of the geographical restrictions and so on, this has to be on a particular domain in a particular country itself. So sovereignty of data is also a concern which is recently into the picture. So cloud providers have come back with a new technology called government cloud, where they will dedicate themselves. They will, it's like a private cloud, but only for the government bodies or government services. So this is built for the public sector. This is based on various compliances of that particular country or region, let's say GDPR or any other specific HIPAA or any other privacy regulations that are specific to any country or region, which will be compliant with. So that is government cloud. There is a fourth category called community cloud, but that is generally not consumed by many of the people. So we are not getting into that as such. Okay. So we will move on to episode number 4. Before that, I'll just do a quick recap. So we have spoken about the layers of control, which is IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and so on, and many other as a service kind of microservices. We have spoken about where is it hosted in terms of public, private, and government, and also the community part. And you can always mix and match. It's not like you should take only, taken from Google or taken from Alibaba or AWS and so on. The world has transformed so much that you can take microservices from Google, you can mix it up with something from Microsoft, you can mix it up with AWS and so on. You can mix and match. And that's the beauty of the cloud. Anybody can do anything from anywhere and have access to that from anywhere, so long as they are within the agreeable parameters and so on. So let's move on to the services themselves. So like in a typical hotel, in a luxury hotel like ours, we have a multitude of services, right? So one of the services is happening because of a concept called regions. Now, Hotel Claudia is having hotels in multiple, it's a big hotel chain across the world. You have a series of hotels in the US, you have in Germany, you have in Singapore, you have in Chennai, we have in Oman as well, and many other places across the world. So these are called regions. In cloud technology, these are called regions. But why do we need these regions? As I told you just some time back, because of geographical regions, because of sovereignty requirements, privacy regulations, government regulations, compliance requirements, and so on. So that is why we call something called regions. So cloud is always based on a region. So the idea behind having regions is high availability and resilience. What is high availability? High availability is basically when one particular data center goes down today, in today's world, if I am on-prem and my data center goes down, God forbid my data center goes down, I would not have a backup which will be up and running immediately. I may have a DR site, I may have other things lined up, but it may or may not be up and running. It may be a hot site, maybe a cold site, maybe a warm site, it may be, probably just a site which cannot be up and running. It will have its own lead time. You have, RPO, RDO, and so on. I mean, those are again jargon which I'm throwing at you. But typically, how much time do you need to recover? At what point of time or how much data can you afford to recover, to lose in order to recover quickly? That is the whole objective of having the resilience part of it. So if in the case of a region, if suppose you are in a North American region and you want to immediately be up and running, there always are 3 availability zones is how we call it, which are 3 different data centers. It is up to you. You can choose to have these availability zones at any point in time, which will be a replica of what you're doing in your current data center in 3 different places, which will be up and running always. So one goes down, you have a chance that you can wing it and bring it back in a matter of few seconds probably. And the whole idea of having this is high availability. High availability, I will explain to you probably in a future slide. So availability zones, as I told you, typically all data centers need 3 things. One is, we call it as a PCN. What is PCN? Power, cooling, networking. We need power, which is always should be on. For example, my data center goes down, I should immediately have a backup power. Typically, these availability zones are within a particular region, or it could be spread across regions also if I require. It again depends on my sovereignty issues, my compliance requirements, and so on, and how fast I want these things to be brought up again, to be restored, or to be split up. This is again up to the customer. So suppose zone A loses power, the traffic or my site should not lose, the traffic should not be lost immediately. My site should be always up and running, right? So it's a matter of few seconds I can afford, or probably I'm an e-commerce site like Amazon, I can't even afford a second. I might have it on a fraction of a second. So that is how it is. So the disruption should be as minimal as it should be. We should not have disruptions at all, but it's not a free world. It's not a realistic thing to have. So we will be bound to have these kind of disruptions. So in the case of disruptions, how much time do we really have is what we are looking for when we say availability zones. So typically in our example of Hotel Claudia, suppose Frankfurt data center goes down and I wanted to be up and running from Muscat data center. So how much time do they have? Even though they are isolated, they are still connected through the power of the internet and the power of my virtual networking. So the virtualization tells me what all needs to be backed up at what stage, what intervals. Should it be batch processing? Should it be live processing, automated processing, and so on? I mean, it all depends on how I want it to be played. Now, coming back to availability, there's a magic number, and that it's very ironic or it's very apt. In the case of cloud, we call it cloud 9, right? 9 is the lucky number or the golden number. Cloud availability is measured in nines. So 99% is typically considered as the very basic availability, which is a downtime of about 3.65 days in a year. So in 365 days, maximum I can be down for 3.65 days. Obviously, this is not, a kind of a best case scenario. I would want to scale it up. So let's say I want to go up to 99.99%. So 4 nines. So all are measured in number of nines. So it is only 99%, only 2 nines. It is 99.9%, 3 nines. 99.99%, 4 nines. So 4 nines at this kind of thing, it is only down for 8.76 hours in a year. So typically it goes in various sections. So it is not like in the entire year, in one shot, it goes down by 8.76 days. It may go down by 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and so on. But in a overall, on a period of 1 year, my maximum downtime is only 8.76 hours. This is what I can afford. And this is what I can pay for as well, probably. See, again, it depends. The more I pay, the better, the greater services I get. Then there's one more level. Okay, the second one should be 99.9%, my bad. Third, it will be 99.99%, which is great, which is only 52 minutes of downtime in a year. Okay, and finally, the gold standard, which everybody aspires for, is only 0.001% downtime, which means I will get 5 nines, 99.999%, which means my entire year I will be down only for 5.26 minutes, which is beautiful, right? I mean, if I'm Amazon, if I'm Google, if I'm Microsoft, I would love to have that. But is it possible? Is it what my cloud service provider is giving me? Is he assuring me that? Is something which should be agreed upon in a cloud service agreement? Is what, how you enter into a cloud service agreement, decide on what services and what service level agreement, SLA, is what you want. So the gold standard may be 99.999%, but then can you afford it? It will be super expensive. So what is the downtime or the RPO and RTO that you are having for yourself, which is the recovery point time and the recovery transit time, or coming back from how much time you have to still recover. So those are the things which you have to think of. Those are the things you have to strategize as an organization, as an individual user, or as an entity, how you're going to come back from resilient, to become resilient. So 52 minutes probably is your affordable state. So that is your higher availability. If you want less than that, your business is okay with that, 8.76 hours in a year, and you can still live with it. I mean, again, accordingly, you will have to come up with the agreement with this cloud service provider. Virtualization. Cloud is not at all new. Cloud has been around from the 1950s. Okay, even though we didn't call it the cloud until the 1990s, cloud has been very much around in the 1950s, where something called time sharing was there. In the typical mainframe kind of a scenario, when you used to have mainframe computers, when at the time of IBM, when it came into being, IBM was not called IBM earlier, right? It was called the tabulating, computing, and recording. CTR is what it was called. So computing, tabulating, and recording company. It was a combination of 3 different companies. So 3 different companies doing 3 different things. So it got merged into the company called CTR, which later became the company called International Business Machines, which we fondly call as IBM. So IBM, when they started the mainframe business, they realized that even big universities and all these companies, they could not afford to build their own machines or buy their own machines and keep. And these were huge and bulky. So what they did, they compartmentalized it and gave individual users some allocated or dedicated time. And typically these users used to come, they used to get these shared resources at a particular point in time, use the same resources when it is getting free. They will typically pay by the hour, or depends on the contract or the pricing model. So we are talking about virtualization and cloud well before we called it as the cloud, or this technologies itself came into mainstream. So it is there for the last almost 75-80 years. So that is how it came into being. But virtualization really took off in the age of the internet. When internet came into the picture, it could be shared across geographies. Typically, when we called time sharing, it was only dedicated to a particular user or a particular individual body or a data center. But now the same data center can be shared by people sitting in Muscat, somebody in New York, somebody across anywhere in the world, just by the power of the sheer power of the internet. So that is how it starts. So virtualization in the face of our cloud, hotel Claudia kind of a scenario, means that a particular hotel room, let's say, has multiple rooms. It's a hotel room, but then it has multiple segments or rooms, sub-rooms. So each is given to a guest. Suppose I have a family, or I have a group of business travelers, and I want each of them to have their own partition or a room for themselves. So the partition is not possible by splitting up this using a hypervisor across the internet. I can split my data center and give only a small portion of what I want to that particular gentleman. So this has become possible, and this is the backbone of computing itself. The cloud computing entirely depends on the fact that I am able to give something which is isolated, which is private, which is having its own security features, and at the same time, it is on a sharing basis. I don't have to build a new technology or a dedicated resource for it. So that is the power of virtualization, which kind of enabled typically the cloud computing itself. So we are splitting one physical machine or a physical room into many virtual tiny rooms or tiny portions or partitions. Each runs with its own OS. Each runs with its own applications, with its own runtime. It's like a computer by itself, right? You have multiple computers running at the same time concurrently without disturbing any other, and nobody comes and knows that others are there also. It is not like I know that there is another person in the same, he is going to come and disturb me. So that is how it works. Now we talk about containers. Now we already spoke about what virtualization was and VMs are, virtual machines are. So those are separate rooms. They have their own walls, they have their own furniture, they have their own privacies. Containers are a same room, probably like a bunker bed. Okay, you are sharing resources, you are sharing the room. You can keep stuff privately. You might have a common, drawer, common furniture, but the bedding and other things, basic communities will be separated. So these are containers. These are lighter, these are flexible, these are faster, and these are tiny as well. So these are cheaper, obviously. Virtual machines may be on the cheaper side compared to an on-prem, but containers are even more cheaper. And typically, containers are used where you have a short shelf life and you want to use it and come out immediately. Okay, so they are like roommates. You are using the same room, and they are going to share the room with you, but they are isolated in their own space. You have all of this. You have booking, you have a room, you have pools, you have party, you have checkout, check-in, you have reports, and all that stuff. But who will manage all this? Don't you need a manager for all this? Typically, our hotel has our own concierge. We have a hotel manager. We have our accounting team. We have auditing team, IT team, and so on. And there's also a management team. So typically, a dashboard or a portal or how you manage the entire bouquet of services in our hotel or in a cloud environment is what we call as Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a service, it's a type of service. Kubernetes is basically a very bad or poor pronunciation of the word governor. Typically in a ship, the captain or the person who is responsible for the rudder or the steering is called the governor or governor, and that's how you got the word governor. Okay, and Kubernetes is just a bad pronunciation, or you can say in a different language it just means governor. So that is how it's all about. So it is the ultimate hotel manager to manage the containers and all the services that you are managing in the cloud, right? So we are nearly coming to the end of episode number 4. So typically in episode number 4, we spoke about multiple branches, which are regions, which are dedicated, which are in specific geographies. It could be within a geography, it could be spanning across geographies. For example, in the EU, it could be across various places. In the North American region, it could be various locations within US, within Canada, within Mexico, and so on. And regions are divided into availability zones. Typically, every region will have a minimum of 3 backups or 3 availability zones. These are typically 3 different data centers or branches, which are spread across, again, regions. It could be spread across geographies. Again, it depends on your risk appetite, the compliance appetite, and so on. Next, we spoke about virtualization, which I said is the backbone of the cloud computing itself, which is where rooms are split into smaller fragments to cater to multiple people, also to cater to multiple requirements like privacy requirements and so on. Then we have something called containers, which are very lightweight. It's like typically a room which is shared by multiple people with common resources, but they're all having their own basic amenities. And finally, to manage the whole thing, we have something called Kubernetes. Any questions, comments until now? Probably you can talk about it. And then we will go on to the next, last segment of. Anything that you wish to add? Anything that anybody wants? Okay, so I'll move on to the last portion of it, which is our checkout part. Now, typically, we have spoken about, in a typical hotel scenario, how things are, the infrastructure, the platform, the rooms, how the software works, software as a service, platform as a service, infra as a service, and so on, and how things are compartmentalized, how things are split up into virtualization and so on. See, I could keep going. There are many, many underlying technologies. There are many underlying security aspects. What we will do after this, see, this is intended to be only a primer or a 101 kind of a scenario. What we will plan to do is we will have follow-up sessions. Probably this is holiday season in our part of the world, in the Gulf. So probably after August, we will have very specific, like for example, one portion of the cloud. Okay, and all this time we only speaking about high level or overarching cloud technologies. We are not speaking about how to audit the cloud itself. What are the things which you should look for as an auditor in the cloud, or as a cloud intaker or a user? What are the things that you should look out for as a manager of the cloud for your organization, which is something which we are aspiring to do. So what we encourage you to do is, in the chat box, if you can just put forth what you are expecting from future sessions, we will definitely consider that, and we'll have dedicated sessions for those things. For the time being, we will move on to the last segment of this, which are the core technologies of the cloud itself. All this time we are talking about what drives the cloud, what are the types of models, what are the types of services which are there. But what are the technologies that drive the cloud? Is it really somebody else's computer just like that? Or is it many other things which are involved in this? So the foundational building blocks I have told you are virtualization, containers, but what drives the technologies? These are typically what we call as APIs or application program interfaces. So everything in the cloud is connected to something else. How are these connected? These are connected through APIs. These APIs are like gateways that let all software talk to each other. It's like interfaces, what we use typically in our own environments, but from a regional point of view and the use leveraging the power of the internet itself. So anybody sitting in any other location also, for example, I am opening a YouTube video which has been hosted by somebody probably somewhere else across the world in Australia or at some point in time, but I'm able to download that and add it to my LinkedIn page. I'm going to show a LinkedIn page with a video of a YouTube link. And immediately it takes you to the YouTube link, right? How is it enabled? It's enabled through APIs. So APIs are like passageways or gateways, or it enables the whole power of the internet to connect to each other without having to do any major programming or anything. You can just do it on the front end itself, right? You don't have to do anything on the back end. But that is how it is driving on the back end. So typically, as we all know, software works on front end and back end. Front end is the GUI, or there are various types of front end for the cloud itself. You can just log into a portal, to the Azure portal or the Google Cloud portal or AWS portal, which is the front end, which creates a login for you. You can access all the services and so on. You can use also many other aspects of it. For example, you can use command prompt and do it. You can use the PowerShell and do that as well. So these are various ways of accessing the front end. But what drives this front end? There is a database. There is a technology which is running behind the scenes. Those technologies are brought together or bound together. It's like a glue which binds everything to each other. It's like wires connecting to each other without having wires. I mean, typically it's wireless, and regardless of wherever you are, that those are APIs. Now, how to orchestrate these APIs or these technologies together? We use Kubernetes and other orchestration technologies. Then we have something called automation. Typically, what we call it is infrastructure as code. Infrastructure as code is something, again, very technical, so I don't want to get into that. And finally, very, very important, the monitoring and observability of these technologies and whatever is happening in all these technologies. Right? Now, we have spoken about the cloud, and I have spoken about how Claudia is such a beautiful hotel, and we all should be part of this. I am inviting everyone to be part of my hotel. And it's the best hotel in the world, according to myself, and probably a few people who have joined this webinar will agree. Right? It's been rated as Michelin star, 7-star rating for all my restaurants. I've got the 7-star rating for my hotel as well. But is it really a good place to be in? Is cloud really safe? Anybody, anything, any comments? Is cloud really safe? Is cloud the best place to be? Do you think being on the cloud means, it's somebody else's responsibility and he'll take care of everything and I don't have anything to worry about? Do you think that's possibly the case? Anyone? Yeah, shared responsibility, true. But then does it mean all my responsibilities are washed away? Is it true that he'll take care of everything? Can I just, enjoy my day, watch a movie and take the day off? Can I do that? Yeah, regardless of whatever you are, Varun kind of nailed it. Accountability in terms of the data and identity and the management of the whole orchestration adding services, deleting services, and all is in our hands. We are not outsourcing that. And I will give you two different scenarios. In recent times, in very recent times, there have been two different scenarios, at least in many different scenarios, but at least two different cases where hospitals, airlines, television networks, banks have been down for days. They have been struck by many things. Screens will go black. Flights, as recent times, London Heathrow Airport went for a complete overhaul. It went for a toss. Flights were cancelled. They couldn't access. If you all have seen the recent Mission Impossible movie as well, in many other movies you have seen it, but even if you have recently seen in the Mission Impossible movie, people hack you and they take over your network. The entire thing is theirs, and you don't have any control over what they are doing. Right? So this is even more dangerous when it comes to the cloud. Cloud doesn't mean that it's all taken care. Yes, they will give you an assurance. Typically, what cloud service provider does is they will enter into an SLA with you, service level agreement, and they will tell you if something goes wrong or a downtime, they will compensate you with either credits or they will pay you or give you some discounts. Having said that, entire data of yours is hosted there, right? You are responsible for your data, but you are not responsible for the storage. You are not responsible for the compute. You definitely cannot be responsible for the networking. It's all theirs. And this recently happened. I'll give you two different cases. Microsoft, of all the people in the world, Microsoft is considered as one of the best companies in the world. And typically this happened in the time of two times I've seen it. 2023 it happened. And as recently as 2025, when CloudStrike happened. What had happened in CloudStrike? It's a very simple thing. Massive outage happened almost across the world. People didn't have access to emails, didn't have access to apps. Literally, the whole thing went for a toss, and then considering the kind of global scaling that is there, everything went down. You only saw blue screens of death. But what happened there? I'll tell you in quickly timeline. CloudStrike just was a service provider who was supposed to do updates. What they did, a single problem, small issue. It was supposed to update something called the Falcon sensor. They put a faulty update and the sensor failed. And the whole world came crashing down, literally crashing down. Windows came crashing down. This is the power of the cloud. At the same time, everything, everywhere, all at once comes crashing down as well. So it's either ubiquitous, it is there with you. You don't have anything to worry about. At the same time, it is also not there at all. Once it goes down entirely. Yes, we have regions, we have availability zones, we have many other things. But as simple as just a security update could bring down the whole world to its knees, right? One more case. This happened to me. Okay, CloudStrike also happened to me, and this happened to me as recently as just a couple of months ago or 3 months ago. Chromecast. I'm a big user of Chromecast. So Chromecast suddenly fell off the grid. I mean, it didn't work at all. So imagine you have a smart TV and it's connected through Chromecast, and it goes dumb. The smart TV goes dumb for weeks together. They didn't have a fix. And the issue was, it's not a hardware issue. It was basically Google apologized. They didn't come up with an immediate action plan at all. They didn't even realize. It was on a Reddit post that it got people got alerted that this is going down and this is happening. And then they wrote back, they tagged the Google. Google then found out using his service engineers that a backend misconfiguration, because of the small misconfiguration, entire Google Chromecast didn't work for weeks together. And then, what people did typically when something doesn't happen, no, you just restart it. That's what they say, na? If you reboot it, it'll work. It's a typical joke in all, even in our daily lives. We just have to go online, we will take it off, and we will restart it, it'll work. And it did. What happened was, it worsened the situation. And by the time Google even realized that restarting is not going to help, most of the people are already done. So what happened was, for example, my case, I didn't have it for weeks together. Then Google finally realized that there are two solutions which are required. One is people who did go for the reboot. There is a fix for that. And then second, people who actually rebooted, which was the majority of the people, which is what their immediate reaction will be. They again did one more fix for them as well. So they sent two patches. They said, use this if you have done this, use this if you have done this. So people were really scared. They didn't know what to do. They thought their TVs have gone for a toss. Their Chromecast devices have gone for a toss. And Google didn't even know. So these are the kind of huge risks which you're having. And these are just very small, tiny risks which you're talking about. There are other risks, security concerns which are always lurking around. People who take over all your data, data leakage. We had Equifax. We have many, you have a laundry list of many instances which have happened in probably the last 10 years. You could say there have been more instances of such leakages, outages than there has been in the history of the internet itself. Probably in the last 10 years, there have been more. I don't have statistics, but this is the way it works. Cloud either brings you to the skies on cloud 9, or you're not there at all. You're totally out of the cloud. You're unplugged. So as simple as a misconfiguration can bring down the cloud itself. So those are basic and yet huge risks that we encounter. So to summarize, we are in the last leg of how we are going to go about it. Clouds powers everything in our lives. As somebody said, there is no life without the cloud itself. We can't imagine a day when we don't log into our emails, Google, YouTube, ChatGPT, for example. ChatGPT has taken over the world by storm, right? But it's powered by the cloud. Can you imagine a day when you don't use ChatGPT or you don't use any particular service? You are literally, the entire phone, every other app is working on the cloud. One update can impact millions, as I told you. Even cybersecurity updates can cause disasters in this cloud world. And knowing the basics is critical and essential for everyone. Now, we spoke about the good, the bad, and the ugly part of it. But how do we know or address the ugly part of it? Or how do we typically learn more about the cloud? I have just given you kind of an appetite for, you are all invited to the cloud, our restaurant dinner, which is a sumptuous feast of a buffet of things which I've given you. I've told you about many things which are available, services and models and so on. But where do you go to start eating? You have to start eating, right? You are hungry. I'm sure all of you are hungry. Are you hungry or no? Say you're hungry in the chat window. Then only I'll show you the next screen. Yes. So typically that hunger, what do we know or how do we learn it, is what we are all here for. No? So that is what I'm going to talk about in the final segment of it. So where do we go now? How do we go and learn more? Yes, we will have dedicated sessions, but then that's not how you learn. You will typically learn, as I always say, by going to a cloud service provider and start a free account. You have Google, you have AWS, you have Amazon, you have Alibaba, and then typically they give a trial version for about 30 days. You can use everything for free. 30 days after that, yes, you will get charged or you have to take a subscription, or some services will be still free. So typically that's how I would say you started. But if you want to learn it fully, CISA has minimum of 2 certifications on the cloud. One is the cloud fundamentals, which will tell you typically what the cloud is all about, and more or less, on the same lines of how I've been telling you what the cloud is, what are the models, and so on. There is another, if you have learned the cloud, I would advise you take the cloud fundamentals if you are willing to learn from the scratch, or if you feel you already know and you are using the cloud and you want to know how to audit the cloud or how to have more security in the cloud, there is something called CCAK, which is Cloud Certified in Cloud Auditing Knowledge, which is for the cloud auditing itself. Or if you say, like, this is an alliance between ISACA, which is our organization, ISACA Muscat chapter in ISACA Global, and Cloud Security Alliance, which is CSA. They have their own basic course as well, which is called CCSK, Certificate of Cloud Security Knowledge. You can also take cloud audit knowledge if you are willing to enhance your knowledge. There is a new certification which has also come in terms of if you already are a CISA and you want to enhance your knowledge in terms of AI, there is also a AI audit certification. AAIA. So you can probably go to isaka.org, you will get a lot of information. Again, these are all vendor agnostic, which means they don't talk about any particular vendor or how a particular vendor gives services. They are at an agnostic or overarching technology point of view. If you want to, we live in a world where we are not vendor agnostic, right? We have to use a vendor. And typically our major vendors are either Microsoft, Google, or AWS. So those companies are also giving their own version of certifications. So these certifications range from various types of certifications. You have basic Azure fundamentals, cloud fundamentals, cloud practitioner, Google Cloud Computing, and so on. You have many streams as well. So typically these start from fundamentals, then you have an intermediate stage, and then an expert certification. And most of these certifications are self-taught. We have people who can take training also from other bodies who are giving training, or you can take it at your own leisure, at your own self-paced. This one, most of these are affordable within the range of $100 to $200 at best, right? So this is how it typically works. So I can share, the links for all that sometime later in a probably in a group or something, or on my LinkedIn page. I can share you that. So if anybody knows any other certification other than this, you can always say that and you can share it in the chat window as well. But typically, this is how it works to get started. Then you can move on to either infrastructure specific, you can move to DevOps, you can move to security, which is very, again, layered approach, basics of security, cyber security, cloud security. Then you will have a middle, intermediate level, and an expert level. So there are multiple things. For example, identity security provider, you will have your own certification for that. You can have a SOC, how a SOC security operations center will use as a cloud. So you will have dedicated or multiple streams which will help you to go for them. So there are multiple layered approaches as well to learning. So this is as far as learning is concerned. Now, I'm going to give you a homework. Okay, we've reached almost the end of the session now. Now I want you all to take one thing away from this particular webinar. Whatever it is, a small learning, it could be as simple as what you learned today, or whatever you learned, you leveraged it today, or what you learned, how you used it in the future, or you can use it in the future. Just post on social media, on your LinkedIn page, or on your Instagram, and wherever you are. Just post one with the hashtag ISACA Muscat, and @ ISACA Muscat as well, and the hashtag Hotel Claudia. And you can hashtag me as well, Chidambaram Narayanan on LinkedIn. And you do this, the person who does it, the first 25 entries, I have a surprise for them. I'm not telling you what it is, but I have a surprise for them. Right? So that is the homework for the day. That's the takeaway which I'm leaving you with. I will now open it up for Q&A. Anybody has any questions, they can feel free. Yeah, CCSP offered by ASC Square as well is something you can explore. So now, question answer, please. Mani, are we looking at the chat window for the questions and answers?
Yeah, just let me check. I think the chat window, somebody is continuously answering. Thanks, Chidambaram. That was a wonderful presentation. And now, whoever having questions in the member side, please, I request you to put in chat window, and our Chidambaram will be explaining in detail. Yeah, Chidambaram will wait for in a minute, like we'll wait for their queries in the chat.
Sure. Come on, guys, no questions. Consider this as an AMA session. Ask me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a typical question. Do I obtain the CP automatically? Mani, probably you can answer that question.
Yeah, so our members director will be reviewing that timing, and they will be uploading into your profile. You will be able to see that, then you can opt it. This
Yeah,
will
what
be
we will do, since you are
yeah.
from a different chapter, we will share this certificate probably for your specific case. You just share your
attendance, something like,
yeah,
you will be able to
yeah.
review it. You will get it.
Thanks, Julie. I hope you enjoyed the session as well.
Just one more question, I think. Do we have any research material or repository where we can find research on cloud security? This is the first
See,
question.
cloud security is a vast subject. Now, yes, there are repositories. In fact, what you can do is you can go to Microsoft Learn, you can go to AWS and their websites, in their portals. They have dedicated resources or learning material itself, which they are giving free of cost. There is no there is no dedicated cost or anything for availing that. You can always go there and start learning. What I would advise you is to start learning by doing. I mean, there is always many other ways of doing it, but by doing, you will learn the fastest. And if you know basic cloud, basic security aspects, more or less, it's just replicated in the cloud, just with different features and different functionalities. So it is just replicated though. Not like if something new is going to come. The same confidentiality, integrity, availability, and all that stuff is always going to be there. What you do in a data center or your on-prem environment is what the cloud service provider also is going to do. Only thing is he's going to share it with you, and he takes partially responsibility for what he's doing. So to answer the question, where can I go and learn? As I told you, there are repositories or study material available on the respective service providers. Or if you still feel that you need something, you just ping me on LinkedIn and I'll share something. Yeah, Julie, we will share the presentation. We will share the relevant slides on our portal website as well as we'll share it on our social media.
Yeah, if there are no other questions, I think I will request Mr. Chetan to give the vote of thanks and take it further. Yeah. Over to you. Yeah, Chetan.
Yeah, I'm still in the cloud. I was just watching Chidambaram. I'm just thinking from where he gets all these ideas, and can I borrow his mind for a few days? Thank you very much, Mr. Chidambaram Karthik Narayanan, for this scintillating session today on anything, everything, everywhere in anybody's mind. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was so engrossing that for a moment, I too forgot my own role, and I was wondering what more is going to come from you. Thank you. We thank our Sultan, Haitham bin Tariq Al Said, to allow us to give such wonderful sessions in Oman. We also thank our supporters, that is College of Banking and Finance, who is sponsoring us, who is allowing us to conduct so many CPE sessions. This is CPE number 11. And we thank the members who have today gone at one time beyond 75 members who were watching, who were hearing, who were engrossed in your session, Mr. Speaker Chidambaram. I'm sure you will be very happy, and I'm sure our ISACA board will be very happy for this marketing. Let's touch 100 next time.
Well,
We thank our board members who have worked hard to spread the name and spread this topic all across, by which we have got so many members who connected and who were listening to this very known subject to everybody, but Chidambaram put some more fuel into it so that we are aware, we are knowing so many things of cloud now. We thank our board members who were behind the session to spread the word to everybody. Thank you very much, Director Membership and Director Marketing, who made it possible and made everybody very happy. Without the members and without the guests, this session wouldn't have been so successful. Hence, last but not the least, thank you very much, members, to join the sessions in such a way that we all get inspired. Hope to see you all once again, and I will give it back to our Director Marketing, Mr. Manikan.
Thanks, Mr. Chetan. Once again, thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you at the next ISACA Master chapter event. Thank you. Good night.
yeah, just before we all leave, just want to highlight that this is our 25th year of our existence, and we're celebrating 25 years, and we are, planning a lot more events. So we would love to have all of you participate in all our events. Probably even host a couple of webinars or seminars. If you are ever in Muscat, you can always come down. You can volunteer to run one particular session for us. Share your vast knowledge with us. Also participate and network with the team, because ultimately this is not one person's organization, right? It's based on the team effort of many people who are behind the show and in front of the show. If you are in front of the show, we are trying to be behind the show and as well support the whole process. So we are planning a series of events as well. So this is only one of the seminars or webinars. We are planning many other events. So we want more participation from even other chapters are most welcome to participate in our webinars. So once again, we thank everyone for being there for a lovely evening. Thanks to ISACA Muscat chapter and all the board members and all the members behind the scenes to make this happen. And once again, thanks everyone. Bye.
Before we leave, can we all come on camera, and if the Zoom master can take some photographs which will be spread in our ISACA group? Is it possible? Zoom master?
Who is the Zoom master?
We only.
So all of us, we can smile well, and Zoom master will collate our photographs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Bye, Jitin.
Thank you, Chidambaram, and all. Very nice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chidambaram and board members. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Bye. Good day.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chidambaram.
ISACA board member and Mr. Chidambaram.